Hey, Miguel Iterati back here for the Cage Rage podcast, and we're looking at odds, and that means it's a wage rage, and we're going to dabble into a little sort of unknown territory here. Not really, but I'm a fan of WWE, boxing, MMA. It's a little beyond that, but WWE Wrestlemania, and that's WrestleMania 35 is this Sunday, April 7th, and that's the biggest show of the year. Some people may not know there are odds at the sports book for this, and everybody's like, but wrestling's fake, look, they have scripted outcomes, but nobody knows who's going to win some of the fights, and they're great with their stories and hiding and stuff. So the books do carry odds. Now, they're not going to let you bet $1,000 on some of these, big odd fights, but, you can bet $150 or $50 or $100, something around there. It might be the maximum and stuff, but if the odds we're going to look at, if you catch an underdog, you're doing great. And the bottom line is where you're going to catch an underdog where somebody's scripting and trying to surprise people. WWE's right for it. And now we're going to talk about Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair in a triple threat match for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. And you got to be looking at the odds for this. I looked at them last week, and I made a note because right now Becky Lynch is expected to win. I can see that because Becky is putting the work. She's real popular. Right now, she's minus 475. Last week, she was minus 350. So, she's at minus 475 now. Becky Lynch is expected to win. So we're going to go with that as the operating procedure. Lynch is going to win. Right now, I think the current champion is Ronda Rousey. If not, she's held the belt for like the last year and stuff. The thing is at this point, the whole world's already seen Rousey as a wrestler, and now it's time, I think, to pull back a little bit. She's come in like royalty, is undefeated and stuff. And, then there's also rumors that her personality hasn't quite meshed with everybody and things like that. So, she's held the belt for a year. Everybody loses in pro wrestling. It may be time for Ronda to lose, and she comes at plus 390. And, like I said, Rousey is the big name there, and with Rousey and Lynch, that's the big feud. So now what in the world is Charlotte Flair doing in this fight? Why is this a three-way fight? Now, Charlotte Flair, you could say whatever you want, and Charlotte Flair is at plus 1,500, so that's what I want to make everybody aware of here. At the end of the day, pro wrestling is pro wrestling, so we don't know. But behind the scenes, Becky Lynch may be the hot name, but the wrestling community, the guys that make the decisions, basically Vince, a lot of the times doesn't want to do the obvious. Maybe string it out a little bit more, or maybe the fighter behind the scenes, maybe Becky Lynch, it's not her moment behind the scenes. And Ronda, they're maybe ready to move on from Ronda. That would leave Charlotte Flair the perfect choice, because the way wrestling does this sort of thing is a lot of it is based on pedigree. And Charlotte Flair has held this belt multiple times. Her father is royalty, which makes her the queen. Basically, her father could even interfere in the fight. Her father's been in the press. Ric Flair has been in the press for the last couple of weeks. Doing tours and things like that. And I think he just turned 70-something years old. So, he could pop up. For Charlotte could turn bad and wind up with the belt, and neither Ronda or Becky wind up with it. And why wouldn't that be able to happen, Charlotte doesn't need the help. She can win the fight on her own. But the way wrestling storylines twist and turn and stuff, bringing her father in and letting Ronda and Becky know, hey, pedigree and putting the work in the ring counts, and Charlotte's way ahead of the curve on all fronts here. Charlotte gets the belt next. I could see it happening at a plus 1,500. If you bet $100, you get $1,500 back. That would be a nice treat and a good way to watch the fight. And keep in mind, wrestling's done this sort of thing before. Charlotte kind of slipped into the fight. She was at plus 900 last week. So with the confrontations on TV with Becky and Ronda and all the crazy stuff with the cop cars and stuff, Charlotte's become an afterthought. And like I said, you're talking about wrestling royalty. So this may be one that we want to look at here as a potential, dog pick, because if you could put $100 on Charlotte and she wins, it's a pretty good payday. I'm Miguel Iterati for the CRP.